Just a follow-up to the point, how do you motivate people to want to learn? Because I think that's the biggest challenge. Because I find here that we could announce, if you were here on say the Saturday, and we could announce 2 months in advance, but that urge to want to be here is something that I think is the biggest challenge. I don't know if there's any solution, or do we just keep on hammering the same point over and over? I don't know if you've faced this problem
everywhere
before. Thank you.
So this is a dilemma that's not unique to Indo-Caribbeans. Indians in general, Hindu origin, have this problem. Because the parents are very busy making money and getting settled in their jobs and careers and so on. And the kids are pushed into get into this or that, profession to do well for yourself. So the idea of spirituality and our background and heritage and all of that becomes sort of an extracurricular as time permits, if time permits, and then there is no time that permits, It's the parents who are sort of wishing that maybe somehow things will get taken care of, and then they are not, then they hand over to the teacher, then they hand over to the professor, then they hand over to the society. And they kind of abrogating their own responsibility. I was explaining in the car when I was coming that our people have outsourced their heritage transmission, outsourced it to somebody or other. Somebody else will do it. It's like having your kids raised by Nintendo or by TV, this sort of thing. So it's very difficult. People constantly telling me, you do all the work, we will clap for you. We will sit and clap. We'll write some email saying, great, great, great. And I wonder, why aren't you doing more than that? So taking the back seat and hoping someone else will solve the problem for us has become a habit. It's laziness. In our tradition, it's called tamas. It's a very sloth, inertia, incompetence, useless kind of. So part of a slavish mentality is that. And if you are a slave owner, or you're a boss, or you're a colonizer, you don't want very smart people, there under you, because they may outsmart you. You want them to work hard, not be too creative, not ask too many questions. You want them to lack leadership skills, because leader is dangerous guy. There is this, which was that movie, Schindler's List. Did you watch the movie Schindler's List? That's the Nazi camp, and they show what goes on in a Nazi camp. The German guards and all the atrocities they commit with the Jews. So there is a scene in which there is some kind of a construction project. They're making the prisoners do some construction project, and the Nazi guard is very angry because they're not able to get the job done. And so he yells, kind of tell them, like, you guys, you've been at it for a long time and no progress has been made. So one Jewish prisoner woman comes up to the guard and volunteers that she can take the lead and get the project done. She says, I have leadership qualities, I have an engineering degree, and I used to be project manager, and sir, if you give me the responsibility, I can take care of getting it done. He takes out his gun, points at her, bang, dead. What's the point? Because leadership, she mentioned, I'm a leader, threat, I got to kill her. You know what I'm saying? I want workers, I want people who just go running around and doing what I tell them, who can't think for themselves, who have no initiative, who have no oratory, no organization skills. But this person could be dangerous, because if I make her in charge of these people to get the work done, God knows what else she'll get done. They may revolt one day. So this idea is a very, the idea of leadership among those who are capturing and running and bossing over is a very dangerous idea. When there was a civil war in Pakistan in 1971 and Bangladesh was separated, General Yahya Khan in East Pakistan, he was the Pakistani general ruling over East Pakistan, and they had a crackdown to put martial law. The first thing they did is to round up all intellectuals. They rounded up all university professors, all writers, all journalists, all parliament people who had leadership, people who could think for themselves, and they genocided them. They put them in one place and killed all of them. Now you wonder, you see from their point of view, from the oppressor's point of view, the intellectual, the thinker, the leader is a very dangerous guy. So imagine if a community has been ruled over for many, many generations, then what they've done is weeded out this leadership, strategic thinking capacity, because it's dangerous, you see. So what happens when such a group of people are freed up one day is that they're lost for a while. They're looking for, they don't know, they don't have enough good leaders, and then that vacuum is filled by corrupt people. We have a lot of corrupt people who think that there's an opportunity, it's a good business to get into some leadership and make a lot of money or something. That also happens, abuse. So you'll find that former colonies, third world countries have this problem. Now somehow the Muslim world, even though they were ruled over, they were not entirely ruled over. There's always, if they ruled over one place, the other Muslim countries were free. So if they ruled over, Egypt, then Saudi Arabia was free. If they ruled over Saudi, somebody else was free. So there was never like a time when the entire Islamic world was ruled over, because Mughal Empire was the Muslim empire when other Muslim areas were ruled over. Yeah? Mughal Empire kept the Islamic thought, Islamic knowledge, Islamic learning, leadership training. They kept it alive. Chinese were never ruled over for a long period of time. They were for a short period of time, but not like for centuries. So they didn't lose the continuity. It's just a short period. So if you look at the Chinese civilization, they've not lost continuity. The Islamic civilization hasn't lost continuity. In the West, certainly have ruled over others. We are the only major civilization that has been colonized for so long, and we've been trained to admire. There's something called the Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when somebody is kidnapped and made a prisoner, and then the guard who's controlling you, looking after you, bossing over you, controlling you, he starts doing a few nice things for you. Today I'll beat you less. I'll give you some food today. Yeah? Okay, good, you're a good boy, so tomorrow no beating. So the fact that he's oppressing me less is a big favor. The person begins to fall in love. There are people who fall in love and even marry their the kidnapper. There are many cases like that where the girl gets kidnapped and raped and oppressed in many ways, and then she begins to appreciate that he's really not that bad. He could have been even worse. So this is a psychological state of somebody who has been oppressed who starts loving the oppressor. And it can happen to a whole civilization. And we've suffered the Stockholm Syndrome. And this is why when Westerners have to be just a little nice to us, and unconsciously there is that thing inside us which is craving for recognition and appreciation and admiration and being invited to sit at the table as an equal. And this deep-rooted inferiority complex is what is causing this problem. So, it's a vicious circle. It's a vicious circle. Any solution I give requires that people have been motivated. So to motivate people, motivate people, you need something, but then that something can only come if they're already motivated. So it's a vicious circle. It's a very difficult circle. So all I can do as a person is to break that vicious cycle for myself. I can say, and when I was 44, I decided to give up my business, give up my career, stop making money, spending 7 days a week doing this for the last 18 years. I'm now 61. So for 18 years, full time, 7 days a week, I have no job, no business, no source of income. I took early retirement and I can live on that. And all I do is this. And the reason I do this is, it is my sadhana. I'm not doing it as a favor to you. I'm not doing it as a favor to anybody else. I'm not looking for anything. I'm doing it because I believe in it and it is the right thing to do for my own satisfaction. So one day when I'm gone, I'll feel I lived the right life. Whether you benefited or not, I don't know. I hope you did. But even if you didn't, I tried. Now, what you need are people who have that kind of a vision and inspiration to do that, to do their best without wanting anything out of it. You need a few people like that. Now, in ancient times, society used to sponsor and support, that's what the Brahmins were. The society used to look after them. The guy doesn't have to go running around having to feed himself. The society would feed him and make sure he's looked after. So, if there is a critical mass of people who want this, then they have to sponsor some young people. And I can be a mentor and teacher if you provide the young people. I can give them work to do. I can give them a lot of work, starting with very simple, rudimentary work, then a little more difficult. In 2-3 years, I can train them to be pretty strong and good community leaders. So then that's your leadership training program. And you don't need a large number of people. If you could train 2-3 people in the next 2-3 years, then those people could take it further and train 50 people. So that's how I feel we can break this with a very small number of high-quality people who are willing to make the sacrifice. But they have to be willing to turn this into their life. Now, before you say, well, nobody is ever willing to do something selfless, I will tell you that there are people who become a purohit in a temple. It's not for big money, it's just because it's purohit. Some people become a Swami, they go and join Chinmaya Mission or Ramakrishna Mission. They're now going to drive around in Mercedes and BMWs and live in a big, nice pension. They're just going to live a very simple life. Now, so such people exist. But they are not in a place where they're going to be taught these kinds of issues. They're going to be taught some very, very abstract things and ritualistic things, but not practical things. So we need to take such people and put them on a different track, which is also more practical leadership.